Welcome back, everyone. Day 12, and today I realized something important. ChatGPT will only go as far as you push it. So it's a review day. We zoom out and we take a good hard look at what we're learning and how we're learning it. So enjoy. Okay, so I am going to now try to set up so that I can move my lessons into a new chat, because I think this chat is too full, and that's why the last couple of days it's been lagging and the transcription hasn't kept up with where we've been up to. So I'm going to try to do that now. So of course I'm going to ask GPT to sort of do the work for me. So I'll just say summarize, I'll say in detail, why not? So is it a summary or is it in detail? I won't say summarize. Detail each, I will ask a different, I may as well just be direct, different conversation in ChatGPT to continue these lessons. Lay out in detail everything we have covered. Include all the phrases we've learned, any tips you've provided, grammar we've discussed, and what is remaining in your lesson plans for the next 2 months. So I'm asking for a fair bit of detail there, but I think it will be good if I can set up the next conversation to already have like a solid grounding, rather than starting another conversation saying, here's a list of words I learned, let's continue. If I ask GPT now, in the context of knowing what I've just been working on, to say, come up with a lesson plan, then we can start the next conversation straight into something that's a bit more structured. I mean, for what it's worth, I was planning to sort of ask to start talking a little bit about grammar today. And so we'll see how much of that comes out. Little bits and pieces of grammar have started to come through already. Like, something I wanted to ask about was how verbs that end with mas or masu seem to mean like you can do something, you're able to do something. So it's almost like a modal verb to say to be able to. And then masen means you cannot do something. So it's interesting to me that doing that is part of almost, I don't know if it's appropriate to call it a conjugation, but it's interesting to me that that's part of that. And so while GPT is thinking here, I'm just sort of thinking out loud that I want to kind of start getting into some of those things, because I think I'm getting ideas, but I'm kind of guessing, and so I would have asked about that directly anyway, but we may as well try to lay it out in a lesson plan. So I'm just noticing in this live running commentary of what it's thinking, quote unquote thinking, it was just saying something like, oh, I don't want to make up a date because like when I started this conversation, this is the second conversation we've started, and all I did was I took a full transcript of the first conversation and said, read this, pick up where it left off. So instead of doing that, this time I'm saying, just pull out what the next one needs to know, and we'll see if that works better. But it was basically saying, should I make up dates for each time should I make up dates for like what the different days of the transcript were? And it's like, no, I'm not going to make up any dates. It's kind of funny. It's very slowly showing up. And look, this is case in point of the fact that I think this conversation has become too big, because just a single message is lagging like this. And page is unresponsive. I will wait. Yeah, I will refresh. It looks like it actually crashed. Wow, this is quite a detailed breakdown. Maybe my whole lesson should just be reviewing this. I don't actually need to have a conversation today. So, phrases I've learned. Core greetings and politeness. Konnichiwa, arigato gozaimasu, domo arigato, do itashimashite, mata ne, sayonara, hai, ie. All of that I remember. That's Good signs. Getting attention and may I. Sumimasen. Sumimasen, choto ii desu ka? So choto ii desu ka is may I have a moment, please? I remember choto means a little or a moment. And it's funny, this is one of those things where, they say it's easier to learn languages. Like when you learn one, it makes it easier to learn another. And I think this is a small example of that, because I know it took me a while to remember choto, but once I realized I was struggling, I thought, well, actually, the way I might remember it is a little bit or a moment. In Hindi, choti or chota means small, so choto, a little, is almost like that. So I kind of connected dots like that, and that's how I ended up remembering. Asking for things. Koryo kudasai. I know I struggled with that in day one. Okaike onegaishimasu. Okay, so this is in the transcript, but we ended up moving on to okaike kudasai for the bill, please. So, obviously this is, well, maybe not obviously, but I'm assuming okaike kudasai is probably a little less natural, or a little less usual, but easier to remember. So onegaishimasu, it's like I can have, maybe this is something like have. So the bill, can I have, I can have, or can I have, because masu means can. So anyway, help or apology, tasukute. I remember we made a joke about this, like, oh my god, I need so much, I need help, please help. And hopefully I don't need that phrase very often, but I remember us talking about it, but we never drilled it because we moved on from it. But I don't mind including it back now. Like, I didn't want to do it on day one or day two, because it's like, let's go straight to like what's the most useful, and start from there. And I'm still doing that, but we can throw in a few that might not be the most useful. Gomen nasai, I do remember, means sorry. Apparently we had a conversation about that a few times. Iki wa doko desu ka? Number one phrase. I don't know how where is the station became like the number one thing that I've been saying or practicing, but here we are. Eigo hanesimasu ka? Oh, I said both? I don't remember ever saying either. I always thought it was just eigo hanesimasu ka, but apparently I have seen eigo o, like this I have seen that, but only when I was checking the thumbnails. When I was creating a thumbnail for the phrase eigo hanesimasu ka, and I was like, I don't want to be that guy that puts Japanese words on his thumbnail and he thinks it means can you speak English, but it actually means like I brush my teeth with candy or something, like I don't know. So the only time I saw the O is when I was using Google Translate to double check. So obviously that was a correction, but anyway. What is this? Kore wa desu ka? Yes, I remember that. Sentence you requested later from your most recent lessons in the chat. These came up repeatedly in your later revision sessions. Voice transcripts in this conversation. Fair enough. So I guess this is all referring to just the first conversation. All of this was just in the first conversation, which was like, for the record, conversation number 1, first convo transcript. This was day 1, 2, 3, and 4. Like, seeing it listed out like this, it looks like more than I realized. Like, I know it's not a lot. It's not like I'm gonna go, get a job at the embassy tomorrow, but that's more than I realized I'd learned in 4 days. Because I feel like I learn like 1 sentence a day or something. But yeah, that's interesting to see. But it has slowed down, because here we are in, I think, day 12, and 8 days was this. So unless it's wrong and it's missing something, but I don't think it is, I do actually think we slowed down a lot. I think we got a lot to start with, and then I have probably slowed down myself a lot by just wanting to revise and revise and revise. And it does remind me of probably around day 6 or 7, I asked GPT, how much should I try to just make it solid, and how much should I try to keep adding things? And she said, keep it balanced. She said keep it balanced. And in my mind, I thought I was still doing that, but looking at this now, I'm now realizing that no, I don't think I was keeping that balanced. I was probably spending like 4 days in a row just revising and adding one phrase. I think the last, actually, it probably is almost one phrase per day on the last 8 days, and the rest was just revision. I don't know if that's a bad thing, but I don't think it's the right pace. I think I probably could be moving just a little bit faster. So I'm going to try to set that up in this next conversation once we start it. And the fact that I'm doing this revision session right now without actually speaking to ChatGPT, like verbally, I think this is actually this will be a good lesson for today, for myself. This will be my lesson, I think. All I will do though is I will take this and start the next one without actually getting into it. I don't think I'll have a full lesson or anything, but we'll see how much time we have. We'll see how much time we have left. I mean, we're already almost at 15 minutes, so although a lot of that was just waiting for GPT to think. That was at least 3 minutes, I think. So we've got a couple of minutes to play with. Anyway, stop rambling, Harry. Toire wa doko desu ka? Where's the toilet? Kore wa ikura desu ka? How much is this? Yukuri hanishite kudasai is speak more slowly, please. Mo ichido ite kudasai. This, I think, is say it one more time, please. Wakarimasen is I don't understand. I do understand. I do understand. No, wakarimasen is I don't understand. Wakarimasu would be I do understand. Ogenki desu ka? Is how are you? Watashi wa Hari desu is my name is Harry. Hajimemashite is nice to meet you. Harry Potter mitai, like Harry Potter. Yeah, beautiful. They're not in the snippet. They're not in my document from the last conversation, but they're all in this chat. Memory tricks and pronunciation notes we used. You cook curry, love it. It still helps me when I'm like, slowly, you cook curry. It still helps me. Conversation blooming, that one definitely helped me with hanashimashite. Hanashimashite? Yeah, a moment, we anchored it, a moment. I don't really know what they're saying here, because this one is literally the choto thing I mentioned, and I never, well, maybe I mentioned choto and like the Hindi word. Maybe I mentioned it to GPT at some point, and that's what it's referring to. Anyway, you yourself decomposed it well. Once more. I did. Ichi is one, and do must mean, yeah. Anyway. Proud moment. Pronunciation notes that mattered for you. Final ooh gets devoiced in polite forms, so you may hear it almost disappear. Japanese isn't tonal like Mandarin. Very nice. Clean D sound. You asked about D versus TH. Japanese doesn't do the TH. Yep. Grammar you've already touched. Light but important. Very... Ooh, and this looks like it's more than I realized, but actually, I'm recognizing some of these headings already. Like, it's true that we have been touching on these things without it being like today is this grammar rule day. Let's learn this grammar rule, now let's practice. Now that particular thing is definitely a common thing in classroom settings, is today we're gonna do this grammar, we're gonna learn this grammar rule and add it into what you understand. And I like it. Like, I've done that and it's helped, it's good. We have not done that, except for when I've tried to figure it out. And I guess that's the difference between a structured classroom where a teacher has got a curriculum and saying, this is where we want to teach you this rule. And with me, I kind of have to be my own structure. I think GPT isn't going to like really recognize, I mean, in theory, I should be able to say, make a lesson plan, right? Like not a lesson plan, that's like a single lesson, but make a curriculum and then detailed lesson plans. And it should be able to do that. But when we're in voice, I don't know how well GPT is doing at, connecting the macro to the micro. When we're in conversation, I feel like it's very micro. I think it's GPT basically responding as quickly as possible with what makes sense to say next, right? Which is what language models do. And when you ask for a curriculum, probably in a written message, it will take its time and build it, but it's not going to do both at once. And that's probably important to remember. So something like what I'm doing right now would be, especially if you haven't, if you're learning a language for the first time and you're sort of taking this approach, probably stopping and doing what I'm doing right now is maybe more important, because let's go through it. The polite question machinery, you know, I was asking about, so is this how you make it polite? You know, so this is like making something polite, and car is a polite question. So I assume this is car, right? Mosquito. Okay. Well, I don't know about mosquito, but I assume that that's the character for car from Deska. But anyway, moral of the story though is because I am leaning on, well, what was the grammar I learned in a class? I'm asking, and as I think about it right now, I haven't thought about this before, but GPT has never really offered me grammar. I don't think at any point has GPT said, here's a phrase, let me explain this bit of grammar to you now. And in the first few days, I would ask, like, hey, I think maybe day 2, 3, 4, something like that. I would ask at times, you know, when do you think we should introduce grammar? And she'd say, oh, pretty soon. And I kind of forgot about it, to be honest, and stopped asking. And she never came back to say, hey, now it's time, right? And that's that whole macro-micro thing I was talking about. The single conversation you're having isn't thinking about that. So doing this yourself will be useful to make sure that you don't lose track of that. And it's useful for me. I mean, look, I'm saying, like, it is useful for me as well. That's what I'm saying. It's useful for me. And I think it would be even more important if I wasn't trying to ask these things along the way. It would be even more important, because you could probably go a long time without ever actually asking these things. And that wouldn't be bad. Like, I think learning a bunch of phrases and then putting them into dialogues, which is what we've started to do, there's nothing wrong with that. It would be a good approach. But like I said on day one, if you can appreciate a little bit of the grammar as well, it's the difference between being able to remember a phrase or create a phrase. Like, once you know a verb, now you know how to use it in any situation because you know how sentences work. And so I think that, you know, there's that old school style of learning where you just put in a CD or you listen to the podcast that just repeats things to you, like, say this word, repeat it back, say this word, repeat it back. GPT can be a lot more than that, because if that's all you get is tell me a word and I'll repeat it back to you, then you may as well just, you know, watch one of those recordings on YouTube or something. And checking in with grammar like this, I think, is the difference. Anyway, enough of that rambling. The polite question machinery, yep, we did cover that. You explicitly discussed that Japanese tends to go topic, details, then verb at the end, and that it feels different to English, Spanish, German. That I did. That I brought up, yes. Topic marker is a very interesting term. I've never heard the term topic marker in another language that I've tried to learn, or, yeah. You've mixed these a bit. Totally normal early. We'll standardize the default patterns in the plan below. Topic marker and object marker. Interesting. Because we know the topic marker is wa, and there are times where I said wa when I wasn't supposed to, and I think that's what they're talking about here. I don't know what the object marker word is, though, because I don't think GPT ever told me this word is the object marker. But it might be something like e or, like one of those. That's going to be something to follow up on. Polite verb endings, do, do, don't, can't, cannot. So that this must be mas and masen. Mas and masen. Yeah. So you can see, like, even in this summary, GPT is pointing it out. Like, you brought this up. Okay, you made these mistakes. You later made this inference. Like, it's noticing that it was me noticing these things. So yeah, one sec. Yeah, it was like, as I was noticing these things, I brought them up. But if I didn't bring them up, or didn't even notice it, then none of this would be here, right? So yeah, potential form. I speak, I can speak. Well, this must be the mas masen thing, I guess, if I've understood it correctly. Set phrases. You asked what set phrases meant. What set phrase meant in practice. Expressions like blah, 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 learned as a chunk. Got it. Okay, moving on. Your recurring error patterns. Look, useful to know what I keep making mistakes on. I sometimes reached for something when I meant something, especially in this, that sentences. Yeah, I think the this, that thing is like the koreo, like I kept saying like kore wa and things like that instead of koreo kudasai. Mixing request forms. This is not helpful to me yet. Maybe I do need to learn how to read this. Shop roleplay moment where you mashed multiple phrases together. You recovered best when you fell back to one lifeline phrase. Oh yes, our shop roleplay. That was fun. Yukuri curry? I don't think I did that. Come on, you're making that up now. What was in the plan but not yet properly built interactive toolkit? In a previous structured plan in this chat, we introduced these, but you haven't consistently drilled them in voice yet. Let's pattern? Oh, the let's pattern, like saying let's do something. Would you like to? I don't remember any of that. I don't remember any of these either. Oh, this is just... yeah, when I first started this particular conversation, I was like, make a lesson plan, and we never touched it. We literally never looked at it a single time, okay? But we will make this lesson plan, and I do want to try to like keep in touch with it. Rather than starting the day saying, hey, what do we do next? I think I'll ask the question, where are we in the lesson plan? Or like, yeah, where are we in the curriculum? How are we tracking against it, and what will be next? And then that will force GPT to not just say, oh, a simple thing to do next would be, and it'll actually put us in that plan that we are setting up now. Yeah, so that's a good learning. I think it's the forward plan I recommend based on your actual behavior pattern. You learn best with heavy recycling, short dialogues, and a small number of new chunks per day. I mean, you say I learn best like this, but that's the only way I've learned so far. I don't know if we've tried anything else, but maybe that's what it's getting at. Like, we started doing something slightly different, and this is where we landed, and my memory started sticking better doing this. I don't know. So yeah, review, one new pattern, drills. Oh, I like this. And then some kind of script. Sure. Goals. Zero hesitation on the basics. I'm getting there. I still pause and have to think a lot, but I'm getting there. Week 2. Chris I'll use every day. Shopping and ordering properly. Directions and transport. Meet and greet to small talk. This is the week I'm looking forward to. Now it says if I want a clean reset, paste this as the first message, which is like a very abbreviated version of the long one. I'm gonna take this. I like it. And are you seriously saying we only add katakana in week 8? Because at the start you said I should try to learn katakana along the way. Like, I don't know exactly when, but one week of learning katakana doesn't seem like enough to do anything. All right, but let's see how it goes. All right, let's do this. Okay, let's start a new chat. Below is a detailed summary of my progress learning Japanese using ChatGPT. Remember this and use it to be my expert Japanese teacher. I can't apparently spell Japan. It's not a great way to go. Okay, it's a long message to start with, but yeah. And let's see, it's currently the 20th of February. Uh-oh. I'm breaking the veil if I'm still out of sync because I've been editing past days. So what does that mean? February to March, April. I really do have about 2 months. I have 2 months before my trip to Japan. That's a useful enough tidbit. So we might not speak to ChatGPT at all today. We'll just look at this response right now and decide if we have like a 1-minute chat after that. But no, this revision lesson has already gone too long. So yeah, I'll end it there. I think I will let ChatGPT think, and we will see. Well, no, it's just finished. I'll treat that summary as your current baseline and teach from it for your Japan trip timeline. Beautiful. Oh, this is actually giving me a review. Quickfire review. Say these out loud, no pausing. So this could be a way to do it, assuming I can check myself. Like, excuse me, sumimasen. Sumimasen, chotto ii desu ka? Toire wa desu ka? Eki wa... Oh, nope. Toire wa doko desu ka? Eki wa doko desu ka? What is this? Would be kore wa nan desu ka? And then kore wa ikura desu ka? Kore o kudasai. Yukuri hanashimashite kudasai. No, that's right. Yukuri hanashimashite kudasai. Please say it again was, I think this was, is this the one that had more on the front? So it's like mo ichido ite kudasai. Pretty sure I got that wrong. But we'll practice it properly when we actually speak to her tomorrow. I don't understand would be walking through the thing. Wakarimasen. Do you speak English? Eigo hanashimashite. Yeah, eigo hanashimashite. No, eigo hanashimasu ka? There you go. Eigo hanashimasu ka? And thank you very much is domo arigato or arigato gozaimasu. Yeah, cool. I think that is pretty locked in. Those 12. That was, I mean, assuming, I know I probably made 1 or 2 mistakes in there, but that was actually quick recall compared to what I've been doing up until now. So cool. All right. Well, this has been a longer one, but it was an interesting one in the end without even speaking. So cool. Thanks so much again for watching, everybody. Look, I think the biggest takeaway is that GPT can be really powerful, but only if you use it right. So if you don't push it, it will just become a glorified flashcard app, and that's not what we want. But hopefully we can keep reminding ourselves to keep going and using it right. So anyway, until tomorrow, mata ne!